we're going to get off of the slow intro onto the intro and just do the regular intro. So, Campfire Passport Podcast. I used my hands, but it's down low, so maybe it doesn't look as weird. Probably going to look terrible. If you're watching this on your big screen TV at home, please don't. Just listen to the audio. I mean, watch it on YouTube, but just like, I don't know, put a screensaver on or something.
Walk away. Turn it on and walk away.
Yeah, do something else. Do something productive. Come on. What are you doing with your life?
What are you doing with your life watching us on TV?
So today we have a guest. We've been having guests pretty frequently. I'm really enjoying it. I think Colin's enjoying it. He doesn't tell me he does, but I think he probably does. That's the way he works. I don't know if everybody's figured that out yet. So we have Jake, and Jake's Instagram is manny.adventures.
Two N's and Manny.
Oh, 2 N's and Manny. Mm-hmm. Manny is, I'm pretty sure, the name of the van.
I think so.
So you will want to look at his Instagram before you listen to this episode, because you probably don't know the Instagram name or handle. But once you look, you are definitely going to know who this guy is. So he became mildly famous on the internet for putting a Sportsmobile Ford van where it definitely shouldn't have been. And I say this in the podcast, but I thought about this a lot leading up like today to the podcast. And I was like, man, this guy's either going to be somebody that had no idea what he was doing and just like bit off more than he can chew, or he's the guy that, you know, knew what he was doing and just did it anyways. And I'm really happy to say he's the second one. He is the guy that like really just, I want to go here. I have this. I'm going to do it. And he's got a background in off-road. He's got driving experience. He definitely knew what he was doing. So all the people that commented, I think they were wrong. I think he knew what he was up to. So anyways, it was a good podcast. He's fun. Just like every guest we've had. It's been awesome. Really appreciate it. And if you agree, it would be really nice if you liked it and commented. Mm-hmm. And then if you're not subscribed and you're listening, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know how you would ever.
It's quite the feat.
Yeah, like that would be really hard. So anyways, subscribe because that's important too for us. I don't have any other things going on. I have a thing that I really wanted to bring up during this intro, but I'm going to wait.
Ooh, wow. Teaser.
Well, I will tell you off air, but next podcast, I'm going to bring something up. So look for that in the future.
All right.
And otherwise, what do you got, Colin?
I've got nothing. We're just, again, we're posting videos, so make sure you watch and those too. And
man, again, we're going to be behind this, but the preview video that you just dropped today, which is March 21st, is so good. It's really good. It looks like next level for us. So I'm really happy to see that, and I'm hoping that it only gets better from here. So
yeah, hopefully we can only go up, but we'll probably go down too.
Yeah, definitely.
What are you looking at me for?
I don't know. I was looking at you just to hope that you might have something.
Oh. You're the host. So.
I know. I'm so ill prepared. Today, I had a work day that was like a lot of my work days lately for some reason. My morning was like pretty busy. It was pretty good. I was really productive. The middle of the day fell off. And at the end of the day, it just ramped up so hard that from 2:00 until now, and it's 6:30, I don't remember what happened. And not only was it just work stuff, but it was like home stuff and then getting here, and it's a whole thing.
I dug holes and sunk fence posts all day, so I'm happy to be sitting down talking instead of digging and working.
No kidding. You're in Arizona? Are you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where at?
East Valley, outside of Phoenix. So part of the Phoenix metro area, the town is called Apache Junction. It's its reputation is the backwoods hillbilly part of the valley. So I'm happy to keep it that way.
I've been there. I have
Nice.
I have an in-law that lives there, and it's, you know what? It's beautiful. The superstitions or whatever are amazing. The town, you know, it's there. It is what it is.
It's a town.
Yeah.
Right. It's a town. You can get groceries, you can get burgers and French fries, but you can't get much beyond that. but we love it. Yeah. And it's all about the mountains and the desert. So just AJ is a good place for that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it gives you that access so easily. And then, I mean, if you wanted to go do something a little bit more big city, Phoenix is a great normal city.
Oh yeah. Awesome. We got Phoenix, Mesa, Scottsdale, Gilbert, Chandler, all 20-minute drives. So it's having all the good parts of a city, but not living in it.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I've always liked about Phoenix is that the road system is pretty great for the most part. Like it works well.
It's an actual grid. Yeah. We have mostly 90-degree turns. There's a couple of streets that run off at an angle, but it's actually super logical to drive around in.
Yeah. And it's helpful. It's nice. You don't realize it, but so we live in Central Oregon, and it's a relatively small town, but like a lot of smaller towns, or especially tourist towns, it's like somebody just took noodles and dropped them down and we're like, yeah, this is the way the roads are. This one's curved. This one's not. Right. Who knows?
Yeah. Just expanding on old.
Yeah, I've driven in a few cities like that, and it's like, oh man, this, it's probably charming once you get used to it, but man, trying to navigate it for the first time, you're like, no, I'm screwed.
I went to this has nothing to do with the podcast. I'm really happy to be on this tangent. I went to New York City for the first time this year, and a few people had told me that it makes a lot of sense, the way that it's laid out, and I was like, okay, whatever. And I just kind of like, yeah, it's a big grid. It makes so much sense. There's a lot going on, so it's hard to get around, but everything is like, if somebody tells you meet me at this spot, you could look at anybody could look at a map and figure it out. There's no.
That's the beauty of numbers. Like, I know that 7 is higher than 1, so I can figure it out from there.
Exactly.
All our streets have names, and I'm like, I don't know where Jefferson is compared to Washington. Like, what does that mean? Chronological in order of presidency?
Yeah, is it their presidency, or is it alphabetical, or does it not matter?
Just age.
Yeah. Your guess is good as mine.
Yeah. That's something that happens frequently with traveling around, just trying to figure out what's what. Like, I thought for the longest time that I would never be the person that just put an address into my like GPS or my Apple Maps or whatever, and to get where I'm going. And I go to other places and I'm like, I'm not going to try anymore. This technology exists for
no
a
reason to try it the way we did back in the dark ages. Like, forget it.
It's ridiculous.
Paper maps and yelling at each other. Like, no, I'll just have Google tell me where to go.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then you get like live traffic, and or like you use Onyx and you get trail reports, and like, why would you not want that? It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more information is always better.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a giant elephant in the room with you coming on the podcast. There was one thing in particular that has become very infamous already. You have a crazy story with an awesome van, and how I looked, I think it was like 725,000 views or something like that.
It blew up. Yeah, last time I looked at it was almost 730,000, and we're not Instagram people. We got the page. We're like, that way our friends can see what we're doing, but that video took off, and we're like, are we going viral? Like, when do we get money? How does this work? Like, do you guys need my bank account number or what? Like,
yeah,
it's been crazy watching it take off.
That's awesome. Yeah. You have some followers, like it's not like you're a crazy influencer, but you've got some. Did you have a lot after?
It picked up from that video. Okay. I think we were running at like a couple hundred, just friends of friends and everything. And then that video went up, and a week later the numbers started climbing, and now it's like 2,500 followers. It's like, I don't know that many people, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. So did you
and it's funny because like we've put other videos of trips that go to plan. We don't fall off any cliffs. We just drive out and camp and come home, and our friends watch those videos and say, oh, that looked fun.
Neat. Yeah.
And that's the end of it.
Yeah, drama is exciting. Like, that is what makes people look at stuff. So you had there was no, what's the word I'm looking for? There was no preconceived, like, this is going to blow up. You basically were like, this was crazy. Let me put it on the internet.
Not at all. Not at all. Like, we got out there, and she always tends to get out. When it gets sketchy and I'm like, there's a 50-50 shot of this going bad, she'll get out. Well, now we have cell phones. I'm like, hey, since you're out, record this. I might want to see, if it does go bad. So the intention was never, we're going to put this out there and we'll become famous. It was just like, I want to see how bad does this look. And then, she posted this one and off it went. And the commenters and everybody jumping in, telling me what I did wrong.
Oh, I can only imagine that.
It's been a crack up.
Yeah, I took a look through like your other posts, and there's a few where you drive that sportsmobile. Like there's a lot of those that end up in campgrounds, and it doesn't look like yours does.
No, we've actually never had it in a proper campground. Like we've slept in it. We've only owned it for a year and a half. The first year we spent 43 nights in it. Nice. We've been dreaming about a sportsmobile for 25 plus years. And so we finally got one. It's like, I'll be damned if I'm the guy who keeps this thing clean and shiny and puts it in the parking lot next to Winnebago. Like this is for getting out there, being the only people in the place, but having hot water and a microwave, best of all worlds.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they're great for that. That's an awesome setup. One of our camp friends that's with us all the time, shout out to Lauren. He has one as well. His is I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to guess because what were you going to say, Colin?
What are you trying to guess?
I was just going to guess the year.
Oh, it's the same. Oh, so I don't know if yours has the front end converter. His is earlier than Jake's is, but it's got the front end. It's got the later front end
conversion. Yeah. Okay. So ours is an 08. I think that's the front end it came with.
Got it.
But I know what you're saying because that van goes back to like 92.
Yeah.
I think, that body style.
Yeah, they've been around for a while. Lauren's is pretty cool. His is it's got all the it's a full window, like a passenger van with the top, and it just has just some like light build out stuff inside. And they use it all the time as like a regular family vehicle too, because they have a couple kids, dog, moto bikes, all the stuff, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great daily family truckster. Like you can fit everybody and everything in it.
Yeah, his is also 2-wheel drive, and he's got some like Kings on it, and just like kind of, I forget what the brand is. He's gonna listen to this and yell. Do you know the brand?
No.
Okay, he's got some brand of like pre-runner style suspension, and It's actually pretty impressive. Like it got stuck in the snow last year with us once, which you would expect it to because it was 2-wheel drive.
2-wheel drive.
But we had another trip where we were blasting across, washboard roads and just kind of off camber stuff. Nothing crazy, but just roads. Yeah. And he kept up or was outperforming a few of the other vehicles. Like it's
nice.
Yeah,
long wheelbase, big shocks, like pretty great. It's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, a 2-wheel drive with a locker, you can get in all the trouble you want to with a 2-wheel drive and a locker.
The only problem with traveling with him, which I would imagine would happen with you too, is that if there is a recovery that has to happen, it's a little hefty. Like it's not a lightweight vehicle.
Yeah,
right. It's one thing to get a TJ stuck. It's a whole different beast to get 9,500 pounds of van stuck.
Yeah,
I was worried. Like that was the first time I had really tested that winch.
Yeah.
And I'm like, on paper, they tell you 1.5 times your weight. I should have a 16,000 pound winch on this thing.
Yeah.
It's a 12,000 pounder. And obviously in the recovery video, it didn't even break a sweat. Like that winch didn't even bog down when I was pulling. It's just like perfect.
That's awesome. So where did this infamous accident, or I don't know if we want to call it an accident, occurrence happen?
Yeah, I can't call it an accident because I knew it was probably going to happen. That's why the bike was on the front, because I'm like, worst case, I can ride out to the highway and call my brother. So it happened, it's about 30 miles from where we live. What we were trying to find, there's a known trail that we used to take the Jeeps on all the time that ends on Bartlett Lake. And in Arizona, if you can camp on water, you're living the dream. Like you're getting away with something. It's just not a thing here. But that trail is way above our van's head. Like no way. So we scouted this power line road, and I'm reading and looking, and people do it in Jeeps all the time. In fact, it's boring in a Jeep. It's just basically a 2-track power line. So I tried to recruit some friends to come with me. I wanted to try it in the van. The goal being, if we can put this van on the lake by ourselves, that's the Holy Grail achieved. Everybody bailed out. Nobody could come with us. My wife is terrible at being a voice of reason. She's just like, yeah, let's go. So I, in a stroke of responsibility, I put the e-bike up front just in case it all went bad, but not expecting it to.
Of course.
And there were a couple of tricky spots on the way, but nothing we hadn't made it through before. And then we came to this one, and I stopped and looked at it and planned and talked and discussed and was like, yeah, this is like probably a 50-50 shot. And we went for it. And boy, the back end I felt the back end drop out and started standing up and kicked it into reverse, got it down, and that's where I put it in park. And even in park, it's just teetering. Mm-hmm. And she's out there just dead steady recording the whole thing.
Yeah, that was a pretty impressive deal. Like, normally when stuff like that happens and you see video of it, it's like the camera kind of falls to the wayside of, I need to help this person.
It's good. You hear the wife scream and the camera points at her feet and you don't know what happened.
Yeah, that was impressive that it just stayed right on there. Like, okay,
she actually told me, I wasn't watching her, of course, but she told me she just covered her eyes and held the phone. She probably knew better than I did that I'm about to flip this van into the ravine.
That is awesome. Was there another, like, it looked like it's so tight. Like, I can't imagine that there was another route there. Like, I assume that all of the people were like, oh, why didn't you take a different angle? But like, it looks like it's about a van's width.
Yeah, all the experts are, do a 3-point turn, bro. And it's like, honestly, you think I didn't think of that? Like, of course, I know how to get around a corner. It was just too much van in too small of a spot. But I thought I could do it.
Yeah.
I felt confident enough to give it the shot. And there was no wiggle room. The only thing I could have done differently, and I've watched the video enough, I'm like, maybe I should have had the front locker engaged.
Yeah.
I didn't, because I wanted to be able to turn as tight as I needed to. So I deliberately left the locker open.
Yep.
And watching that video, I'm like, shit, if that had been locked, I might have pulled itself up. Honestly, I don't think it would have. I think it was just 9,000 pounds of van on a 4,000 pound road.
Yeah. That is probably what happened. It's impressive. And like, I think we've all had those moments, maybe not quite as dramatic, but we've all had those moments where we're like, man, I wish somebody had like gotten footage of this, because maybe it feels that like that hairy, but it's not. Like, somebody actually did film it, and you're like, oh, well, my tire's 1 inch off the ground. Dang. But that, I can't imagine what that was like inside the van, because
it was, our background is rock crawling and jeeping. So I've rolled Jeeps over before in those same situations, so I have felt it from the seat, but not in a 9,000 pound van. That's what you're supposed to be sleeping in that night. So it wasn't an unknown, scary type of thing, but it was like, shit, this is not a buggy that you're supposed to roll over. Like, if I roll this over, it's going to suck.
Yeah. Did you feel like it was going to go?
Oh, yeah. There was a moment where I almost became a passenger. Like, it was like, I've done pretty much everything there is to do. I got it in reverse, and it settled down, and I'm like, okay, I think I stopped it. But it was still doing this. I put it in park, and it's still not steady. And so I'm like, damn, this is bad. Like, this is bad. I had to climb out the passenger side, which is hard to do when everything is pitched up at four. It's not a little Jeep door. It's a big, heavy Ford van door. So there was some definite pucker.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. You said you did rock crawling stuff before this. Do you still, is that something? Okay. 2 questions. One, I'd love to hear the history of what got you to where you are now with off-road, because we always do that and it's fun. But secondary, do you have another rig right now that is more like play kind of thing, or is it just the Sportsmobile currently?
Right, gotcha. Yeah, so first question, background. We grew up in Arizona, and my dad took us camping all the time. All he ever had was a two-wheel drive Dodge pickup. So that kept us from ever getting ourselves in too much trouble, but it was ingrained into me, like, get out of the city, get in the desert, build a fire. That's what we did as kids, is just go out and camp. So,
yeah.
And then shortly after we got married, our first vehicle we bought together was a Jeep Wagoneer.
Cool.
And that's what we started building.
Yeah.
And my brother got into it at the same time. He had a full-size Wagoneer. Mine was the little XJ version of the Cherokee.
Okay.
So we started building those. This was like 96. And luckily we had an old man friend, like an old farmer, second dad kind of thing. So if we could think of something, he could build it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it was a huge blessing. And we just slowly evolved our trucks up to the point of rock buggies. That XJ eventually became a fully locked, roll cage, no doors, play buggy.
Nice.
So we spent 20 years doing that, all the hardest rock crawling trails we could find in Arizona. And that's where we learned all the recovery skills and being comfortable being at what feels like an angle of death, just stay calm and keep driving.
Yeah.
So that we spent 20 years doing that.
That's great.
And then I forgot what the second part of the question was.
So I have a follow-up before we get to the second part of the question. Colin was mentioning, and I didn't scroll back far enough, that your vehicle before the van was like a JK with
that was
a minor. That's pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah, we had the JK that we bought in 2012, and it lived most of its life as a rock crawler. We had slowly, as budget allowed, got it up to 37s, lockers, and we would follow buggies pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
And then we started, my son at the time was like 20, 21. He was working for Let's Roll Off-Road.
Okay.
Here in Mesa. And he built a YJ buggy that was 40s, hydraulic steering, anywhere. So we're following these guys. And of course, we're breaking body panels, and he got out of that and moved away. So we're like, okay, I think the rock crawling thing is done. Then we got the Ursa Minor, because we've always camped out of Jeeps.
Yeah.
And it was like, how many times can two old people sleep in the back of a Wrangler? Like, I got to get up and pee 3 times in the middle of the night. So we're like, let's make this a little more comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Ursa on the Jeep, we had that for 2 or 3 years, and that was a lot of fun. It was a great combination of capability and
yeah, it seems like a great idea, like having a little bit more functionality than a rooftop tent. And just a little more built in, a little bit like more. I've always that's one thing that, I love Sportsmobiles, and I like things like that quite a bit. Pop top troopies, all that kind of stuff, where I love the idea of it being so self-contained that it's just one thing.
Right.
You're never taking it off. I have a Land Cruiser 80 series, and there's a guy that makes a pop top for it. And I keep thinking, man, that'd be so cool. Yeah. It'd be so cool. It'd be so cool. But the footprint's pretty small.
Yeah.
But even still, just having it there is so nice. I love my rooftop tent. It works just fine. There's no reason to not have it. But it seems like the next evolution. I have this thing where I love the idea of being able to not get out of the vehicle to get out of my bed. That's pretty cool.
Yes. Yes, that was huge. The other thing that was nice about the Ursa over a rooftop is you can stand up, right? It's just one little area where the back seats are, but you can stand up. So if it's cold and crappy outside and you need to drop out of bed and get dressed, whatever, you don't have to go outside to do it.
Yeah.
And you don't feel like you're sleeping in a tent. You can hang your feet down below you. It's like that next step between a rooftop tent and a Sportsmobile, or going to something like a motorhome where you're, or like an overland trailer where you're inside.
Yeah.
And that's what we loved about the Sportsmobile is if you can't, you don't have to go outside at all. Like, you can do everything but turn on the propane without going outside.
Yep. They're pretty, I mean, that's a pretty nice thing. And,
Yeah.
I've always envied that. Like, we've had plenty of camp trips where I've got my big awning out and my, hatch open. So there's like all these places I can stand under, but it's still raining sideways.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I can't.
And it's windy.
Yeah, it's windy. Like, there's nowhere to go.
Right.
Basically, you're just
You see the
wet.
pictures and it's like, damn, that looks perfect.
Yeah.
But in the real world, it's windy. The rain is coming from everywhere.
Mhm.
Everything is wet. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And we're mad at our, buddy who's got a 4-wheel camper on his Ford truck who, made us take too long all day, but he's inside drinking coffee with the heater on. And I keep thinking, it's not so bad.
Well, as you got
Yeah,
somebody
that's
there to
kind of
recover
where we
you.
are.
Exactly.
We've got 2 couples that we camp with mainly. Of all things, one is in a Westphalia VW, so
Mhm.
obviously they only come on certain trips.
Sure.
We like try to pick and choose, can the bus make it here?
Yeah.
And then our other buddy is in a JK with a rooftop tent.
Okay.
So our last trip, just last weekend, we spent 4 nights on the shore of a lake where you don't necessarily need hard 4-wheel drive to get there. It ended up raining the whole time.
Oh, man.
And like you said, we were the jerks. Like, we're in the van on the couch,
Yeah.
sipping coffee, looking out the windows like, oh, yep, it's still raining. And my buddy's in his rooftop tent shivering and
Yeah.
all his stuff is wet. And
Yep.
so, you try not to be too much of a jerk about it.
It is the next evolution. Like, I always think that that's kind of the next, like the way that you did that, right? The way that you guys went from, we're just camping like regular camping to how do we step this up? We put a topper on the, on the Jeep. That's really cool. That's next level for sure, especially with just a Jeep. But then after that, you kind of probably have to make the choice of, do I just keep doing it this way? Or do I get something that I can really put, 5-6 days in really easy, or I can just leave?
Exactly. And that's where it was kind of like, okay, the hardcore rock crawling, gnarly stuff that you only do for its own sake.
Yeah.
We got that out of our system, and we realized what we really like doing is dirt roads to a nice view, a good campsite on a lake or on the top of a mountain. You don't need 37-inch tires and lockers to get there. So we're like, how can we don't want to be in a campground. Like, no way. We still want to be the top of a mountain. So what can take us there on a gnarly dirt road? We're going to leave the masses behind.
Yep.
But now we get to the top and, we're almost both in our 50s. It's like, we're ready to be comfortable. We need it to be a little easier. And we kept coming back to sportsmobiles. Like, we sitting around fires for 25 years of our marriage. It's like, what if we had all the money in the world? What's the greatest rig for what we do? And it's like a big 3/4-ton diesel with a pop-up camper in it. That's pretty badass. But we kept coming down to, you got to get out. You got to walk around outside, go in, set up the camp. If you need to leave unexpectedly, you got to walk around and get in. So the van was like, dude, if you for whatever reason you can't go outside, you don't have to.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. I am a big fan of that for sure. That's my ultimate goal too. I have this like I don't want to call it unhealthy, but I have this obsession with, being able to like travel for weeks on end, right? Like to be able to go and do long-term trips. I don't need to live in it for a year or anything, but like a week or 2 weeks at a time, being able to have a place inside if you have to work or just hang out and read or whatever. So it's not like the rooftop tent thing where you have to be laying down or something like that. You have that little area.
Yeah, totally.
And you're self-contained. And like you said, like the being able to just be like, you know what? It's really terrible out today. I don't have to do anything but get out of bed, put everything down and leave. Like that's pretty nice.
Right. And we've even used it as just a normal old person's motorhome. Our son lives in Ventura, California. So we've taken trips where it's like, we don't need to buy a motel room. We'll just park out in front of his house or get a little spot along the highway. Like you would never stay there otherwise. It's literally like it's that strip along the 101 where you're paying $50 for a parking spot between big motorhomes. But we just pull it in there, pop the top, and you're good to go. So it comes pretty close to serving every purpose.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of like I've said this a few times recently that it's like the RV thing, right? Like for a lot of people that retire and want to travel and they have a big RV, like it's really cool. And it's kind of the same idea. They just don't care maybe so much, or their priority isn't so much about being out, you know, where there aren't people or views. The thing is that gets you to
Right. Yeah, and it's a great compromise between the two. Like you can almost pretend you're in a big motorhome with all the conveniences. You have 99% of them.
Yeah.
And then if the trip is, hey, we got 2 nights, let's go up to the top of the mountain by ourselves,
you can do it.
Not listen to anybody, not see anybody, it'll do that too.
Yeah, that's pretty great. I've had 2 funny rooftop tent experiences. One was a truck stop that I used my rooftop tent in.
That's brave.
Well, so it was a little weird. It was at a car show, like a hot rod car show. And my friend, I was there with friends, right? Obviously. And one of them had a truck and trailer. And what we did was we basically backed my Land Cruiser into a spot that it was kind of, I don't want to say hidden, but it was like trapped in by the truck and trailer, like pickup truck and trailer, right? And I opened my rooftop tent and I went to bed late, probably because it was a car show and we were all hanging out and drinking or whatever. But everything was fine until 6 a.m. or so, and the security came out. And this was like, this would have been, probably 10, 12 years ago. Like rooftop tents were not a big thing yet. There was some.
Right. Everybody didn't know what they were.
Yeah, exactly.
You had to be into it to know what they were.
Yeah. So this security guard knocked on my ladder. And I kind of popped my head out, and he was just like, whatever you're doing here, you can't do.
Don't tell me, but you can't do it.
And I said, I'm just, I had, made up an excuse in my mind. I'm just sleeping here because I couldn't get out or whatever. And he was just like, I don't care. Yeah. Whatever this is, put it away and leave. So I did. Right. But and then I also...
Yeah, that's the other cool thing about the van is if you need to be stealthy, you can leave the top down and you can still do everything. It just cuts out 2 beds.
Yep. Yeah.
So if you're somewhere you're probably not supposed to be, or you're in a Walmart parking lot, yes, you can be sneaky about it.
Yeah, and you're not in a cloth tent on your roof, so that's helpful. I mean, you kind of are, but not really. It's definitely...
Yeah, I mean, there is canvas, but that canvas starts at 8 feet and reaches up to 11. When that top is raised, you're way above the reach of any bad guys.
Yeah, and I'm not like I'm not like worried about that kind of thing normally, but every time I've ever been in a spot where it's like kind of urban area, like a city of any type, and I've had the tent out, I just think, man, if I'm going to get robbed, today is the day.
This is it. This is perfect. I'm a sitting duck up here. Yeah. Like
I did it in Redding once too, like on a road trip, and I was like, well, I've got the rooftop tent. I'll give it a shot, and I did, and everything was fine, but I just kept thinking, man, I'm just a sitting duck. I'm just like a...
Yeah, you're laying there all night. Like, is this going to be the night that something bad happens?
Yeah. Like, what's that sound? I don't know.
Right. What was that noise? Whole different set of what was that noise? Like,
yeah, exactly.
In the forest, you hear a stick break 20 yards down. Like, oh shit, it's a grizzly bear.
Exactly. I was going to say, like, it's probably more likely that some crazy thing will happen when we're out in the middle of nowhere where there's no cell service, but it still makes you nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Sportsmobile, the self-contained I think is genius. Have you done anything to it, or did you get it stock? Or I mean, not stock. It's not stock, but you know what I mean. Did you get it the way it is?
Yeah, gotcha. No, we bought it from the original owner. We bought it not quite 2 years ago, and he had it converted by Sportsmobile in 2012. And he ticked every box. I mean, he didn't say no to anything. So this van is built fully to the hilt. I've done a couple little things to it, but they were minor, just livability things. I added a table inside that pops up and changed the headlights out, but I haven't really done much to it. All the big nuts and bolts parts he did it all.
That's awesome.
I mean, like I say, he checked every box. He gave me the build sheet, and it was like $114,000 van in 2012.
Yeah, that's impressive. That is one great thing about those. Like, I've seen a lot of like Sprinter builds these days, and they're fine and they're great for, I'm sure, living out of and doing all sorts of fun stuff, and they're better than you'd think sometimes. But a lot of times it's a really good interior, right? Like that's pretty much the package. Like
Right.
they do
Right.
super nice interior stuff, and maybe it's got shocks and tires on it. Like that's it.
Yeah, a little bit of a lift, and
Yep.
and it's all-wheel drive.
Exactly.
Like, it's a big difference between
Yep.
true four-wheel drive hardcore stuff.
Yeah. This and the Sportsmobile, like the beauty of that is like they really, they go all out with gears and lockers and Atlas transfer cases and suspension and
The
like
drivetrain of this
it's
thing
insane.
reads like the dream rock buggy that I
Exactly.
spent 20 years wishing I had.
Yeah.
Dual Dana 60s and Atlas 2 transfer case, like bomb proof.
Yep. Yeah, I will never forget the first time I worked on one in my shop and I looked underneath it and I was like, oh my God, these have Atlas transfer
Nice.
cases, and I was just like, I can't. So then I started.
That's hilarious. When I got it, I like I said, my son worked at Let's Roll, so they're getting pretty big now. But they build hardcore rock crawling buggies here. They field a King of the Hammers race team. And after I got the van, I went down there to chat with them about something, and a couple of the mechanics and the owner were coming out. Yeah, let me see what you got. And like, holy shit, that's an Atlas 2. Like, is that a twin stick? And I said, yeah, I can do front digs in this thing if I need to. So rock crawlers will sit around talking about the hardware, and motorhome people will sit around talking about the water heater and the microwave. Like, it has it all.
It really is like a true all-purpose vehicle. Plus, you could just drive it to
It's
work if you
about as
wanted.
close as you can come.
Yeah, it's pretty good. What's in the future? Like, what's the plan? Just more action?
I'm going to try to be smarter. Like, my brother always gives me shit. Like, you dumbass. Like, the first thing I did with it, we were on a road trip to visit our son, and we're like, let's take a detour to the Salton Sea.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this will be a cute pic. I'll drive out to kind of the edge of the water. They're already out looking at the water, and I start driving, and I realize, the same time I realize, oh shit, it's soft and bottomless. My son is going, no, turn around. And I buried it, framed it out,
Oh my
buried.
God.
We spent 4 hours doing every trick in the book, having to call this local lady. She charged us $500 and yanked us out with a ZJ and a Bubba rope. So
What a- man.
my point is, my brother is like, you freaking idiot. You just bought this $100,000 van and you bury it in the mud. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I bought it.
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
I'm not
that's
going
what
to
it's
put it in
for,
the
right?
campground. So what's next is I'll try to be a little smarter. I'm like, okay, I got away with it again. I got myself out. It didn't cost me $500 this time. I didn't ruin anything. How do I like translate this into making better decisions? And so I'm like, well, I know the odds. Like, I would have told you it's 50-50 here. This is going to either go really bad or it'll go fine. So my takeaway was, let's try to make it like, if it's 70% or better, go ahead. If it's worse, then maybe say, nope, I'm not going to try it, and back off. Live to fight another day.
Yeah.
But other than that, we're just going to try to keep doing the same thing with it, take it everywhere we can. We're talking about a long, like maybe a month
Yeah.
trip, like a standard RV trip, across the country and just see everything.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
So,
it's perfect for
We
that.
might put that together.
Yeah, I mean, the beauty of that is the thing we're talking about, right? Like, you could go to a campground if you wanted some comfort, or you could not. You
Right.
find whatever, And so,
Exactly. It'll kind of let you do however you want to go.
yeah.
Even it's got an indoor shower. We've actually used that. We were boondocking for 4 days, and we're like, yeah, it's time for a shower. And you can set it up inside. It's cumbersome. It's a curtain, and like you're not gonna think you're at home soaking in
Yeah.
a hot shower, but you can get clean again without going outside.
Yep. Yeah. Hey,
So,
that's the whole thing.
It's
Yeah, a not windy shower.
Oh, jeez. Those
Right,
outdoor
right.
shower things, like that's a neat idea, but in practicality, it's like I'm not living out of my rooftop tent equipped vehicle. It's just not happening.
Yeah,
you're right.
I can stay. I mean, days,
extended trip, sure,
but
yeah, that comes to a point.
yeah, not for me. Well, that's awesome. So you think you probably hung your hat up on hardcore off-roading, other than accidental awesomeness with the van, then, right?
Right. We do still have, that was the other part of
that
your
was it.
question.
Yep,
Was what other,
exactly.
we have a little TJ that is technically my wife's daily driver, but it's got a lock right in both ends.
Nice.
It's on 33s, sway
Okay.
bar disconnects, rockers, skids. I'm like, this was actually better built than the XJ we spent 15 years wheeling.
Yeah.
So we could still be out doing it.
Yeah.
But I think we really have got it kind of, I don't want to say out of our system because that makes it sound like we don't like it.
Yeah.
But it was like we've been there, done that kind of thing. Like I've spent 6 hours to go 2 miles that didn't take me anywhere I needed to go just to see if I could do it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
still cool. There's still, I think, value in it, but maybe because we're old, we're just like, I want to sleep comfortably every night. I don't want to wonder, am I going to be sleeping under my Jeep with a broken axle tonight?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure that that Jeep, whatever you want to do near home, you want to just like get out in the afternoon or something, you're not camping. Like that's
Right,
plenty to
right.
get you wherever you want to go. And as much as I love hardcore off-road stuff as a whole, sometimes I just want to get out. Sometimes I just want to like go somewhere and come back. Like it's fun if
Right.
I have to use 4Low. But if I don't,
Yeah.
it's not the end of the world. Like it's fine.
Yeah, no, I definitely know what you mean. Like those trips where it's like, okay, we used all the Sportsmobile things. We put it in 4Low. We locked the hubs. Woo!
Yeah.
We did
It's
all the
great.
things. But yeah, sometimes it's just like, I just want to drive out to a little spot, and look at the mountains, and drink a beer, and take a nap, and go home.
I like it. That is good. That's my I wish I could I can't take naps. I'll ruin my day. I'd have to stay. I need the Sportsmobile in that scenario.
It's a
because
fine line.
I'd stay.
I know what you're saying. Like if you go past about 30 minutes, then you're done. Like
Yeah,
you
exactly.
can't wake up.
That's good. Cool. Colin, you got any other questions or?
I know
things?
that Lauren had a couple of decent ones that I can't pull up because we're using my phone for the other thing.
Hold on. I have a phone somewhere.
So I kind of remember something along the lines of and you've kind of gone over it, is that like with how big of a build it is and it's how prepped it is, basically how often are you actually using all of those, like you said, like the Atlas and the lockers and
Right. It's a lot like any of the rock crawling stuff. You have to create the need for it realistically. Like we're not going places that you have to go, and in some cases we're not going places that there aren't easier ways to get to.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit like, hey, I've got this hammer. Everything looks like a nail to me. I'm going to go use it. But that's how I'm built. Like if I have this thing, I want to make sure I use it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the best answer I have. Like you do have to try to find the spots where, because that van, like a Jeep or even your friend's 2-wheel drive Sportsmobile, it'll go a lot of damn places without going in 4Low and locking the diffs. Like if you know how to drive, you can get a lot of places without all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a mixed blessing. Like, okay, I have all this stuff. I need to find the places that require it.
Yeah.
And that's how I end up getting myself, like you saw in the
Into
video,
those.
hanging off the side and
exactly.
hoping that little mesquite tree is strong enough for the winch to hang on to.
Yeah. For the average person that's not like, you sound like you're like we are, it's an insurance policy, but for you, it's a temptation.
It's almost like a dare. Like,
Yeah,
hey, man, what
I
do you
can
have this winch
self-recover
for?
if
You gonna be
something
those
happens,
pansies that doesn't use his winch?
Yeah. Why do you even have it?
Okay,
Just-
yeah, 100%. I mean,
just there for extra weight
100%.
otherwise.
Like, right, it's stupid to drive around with an Atlas transfer case and a Dana 60 front axle if you're not going to use them.
Sure.
You see these Jeeps that are mall crawlers, and I'm like,
Yep.
why do you wouldn't you rather get 40 miles a gallon and be comfortable? Like, why drive around in a Jeep?
No. They can't do that. That's not as
Can't be
cool.
doing that.
Right. You got to look a certain way.
Oh yeah. That's good. So Lauren's specific question was basically that, like, how often do you actually use your 4-wheel drive? I think that's from the 2-wheel drive perspective, right? Because I think you answered that perfectly. Like, you basically do it.
Yeah, we use it a bit, but only because we make ourselves use it.
Yeah.
And that's Arizona. Like, I don't know, Oregon, you've got things like mud and snow where you might legitimately need it more than I do. In Arizona, you got to go looking for places to need 4-wheel drive. You can take a 2-wheel drive on 90% of our dirt roads.
Yeah.
If you know how to drive.
Yeah, snow is the thing more than anything.
Yeah,
and we've
snow
run into
big
mud here and there because of snow melt, basically.
Yep.
But we live
Sure.
on the, like, in the center of the state, and it doesn't really, ironically enough, doesn't rain very much here, even though everybody talks about Oregon and rain. But we do get snow.
Yeah.
And we have high elevation, so it happens. And so, like, that, yeah, that's 100%. That's a deal breaker. Like, you, even in your daily driver, you can get away with snow tires in a rear wheel drive car, but it's a little
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a Colorado thing. Like, all wheel drive is kind of the thing because you kind of need it. But on the off-road sense, like, in the summer, you're right. Same thing. Like, you don't need it a lot of times. And so I just watched something, I think it's the 4-wheel drive 24/7 where they're in the US. They're talking about everybody, like, tries to do things without using their lockers or their low range or whatever. And I'm guilty of that.
Distinctly
Like,
American thing.
Yeah.
it's the thing that, like, I want to see if I can make it up that. And I'm not going to use all my tools until I absolutely have to sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's two different philosophies. Like, can I make it in 2-wheel drive? Okay, maybe, or you might break something.
Yeah.
So it's neither approach is necessarily better than the other. Like, I tend to put it in 4-wheel drive almost as soon as I'm in dirt, just if nothing else, just to spread the wear and tear and let the front tires help out.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to you don't want to lose it because you didn't use it.
Yeah, right. And to be silly to kind of get buried and framed out in 2-wheel drive, and it's it just didn't have to happen. I have all this equipment.
Yeah, that makes sense. You don't want to do that.
But then also you don't want to suddenly put it in 4-low and lock all the diffs and make everything super easy. And it's like, dude, that could have been a little more fun than it was. So it's a balancing act.
Yeah, no, I think we've all fallen into that trap before too. Just you made the comment about making things harder when you're rock crawling, and that's funny because I don't know if I've ever thought about it that way, but I definitely have been places where I take a different line than, like, you know, Tyson's in front of me with his Xterra and he goes through an obstacle and I go, I'm not going that way. That's boring. So, you know, I go,
I see a harder line. Yeah, fully.
You know,
and I don't know if it's male ego or just the nature of rock crawling. Like, we're not going anywhere we need to go. The point is how hard of a trail can we make it up? So I see a worse line. I'm going to try it.
Yeah, that is interesting. Something I talk about all the time. I'm broken record on this at this point, but, like, I think that off-road especially, but rock crawling and desert trucks probably to an extent have a lot of common themes with, like, action sports. So skateboarding, BMX, those kinds of things. And a lot of that is the same thing, right? Like, you see someone do something and you could say, I could do that differently. I could do that better. I can do it faster. I can do it higher.
Progression, pushing the envelope. Somebody does a 360 and now the next guy is thinking, what about a 720? Is that possible?
Exactly. And it's interesting.
So you make one waterfall climb and the next guy is like, ooh, yeah, but look to the left.
Yeah,
it's even
this line over here looks
an
cooler.
Undercut, and if I make that, I'll be the biggest stud in the place.
Exactly. And there is definitely an ego bit there, as much as we don't want to admit it sometimes.
For sure.
Where it's like, I want to be the one that did it.
Mhm.
I want to go the furthest. I want to
Right.
go whatever. So
Yeah, doing something the best.
Yep.
So then you've got something else
Mhm.
to
Or doing the hardest thing.
brag about at the fire. Like, well, I did the hard line. I don't know about you guys. So
Right. That was cute that you did the main line of the waterfall, but I
Yeah.
did the right side. It was
Yeah.
even harder.
well, when you get that figured out, let me know.
Right.
Yeah, it's good. Cool. Well, I mean, I appreciate you being here. I don't know if there's any. Do you have any other things, Colin? I already said that, so you don't. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's like I said, he's gone. He really covers a lot of things very well without us even asking. So that's paramount right there.
It's a gift of being old. You just start talking
I
and
love it.
everything reminds you of the story.
Well, with guests, it's tricky sometimes because guests are actually we've had a great luck. Every guest we've had has been awesome.
Yeah.
First off, but second, you never know. Like I don't know. I don't know what I'm getting into and if the personality is going to be,
Sure.
the personality that's going to work. But I think just the fact that someone's willing to come on here usually means they're going to be a good time.
Well, and you're looking like the people you're looking for. Yeah, that's almost a natural filter. Like somebody that's out doing stupid stuff in a big truck. That's gonna be a cool dude. Like
I had two. I was like, man, this is either going to be the guy that's super cool because he was going a little too hard in his sportsmobile, or the guy that had no idea that this was going to happen. So I'm glad that you were the first one.
Idiot, right? They told me it was all-wheel drive, so
Yeah.
I thought I could go anywhere.
Oh, what's that button with the little X in it for? I don't know.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had a blast with the comments. Like reading the
God.
comments on the videos have just been incredible.
I can only imagine.
People that obviously have never been in the dirt and they're like immediately telling me everything I did wrong. I'm like,
course.
okay, I don't know who you're impressing, but good job.
Yeah. So just to touch back, like as a callback of when we had opened the conversation about that. So that reel itself, 729,000 plays
Gosh.
for the original one.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
then the second one that depicts all the recovery and whatnot is 61.
The recovery.
Wow, people don't care about the recovery. huh?
Yeah, just the
No,
shock
they
value.
don't. They see Sportsmobile almost rolls.
I got to
And
look
then
at
what's
that.
crazy about that is some other, I don't know all the Instagram lingo, but some other channel, ADN Overlands,
Okay.
tagged us
Mhm.
and put our videos on their site.
Mhm.
I don't know if I'm supposed to be mad about that or not. On their site, it's like 2.5 million
Oh
views
my God.
of the incident, and then the recovery has a little bit less. But I'm just like, you're telling me like 3+ million people have watched us out there that day in the middle of nowhere
Mhm.
making a bad decision, and here we go.
God, that's insane.
So it's nuts.
I'm sure there's others too, right, that have reposted it too. So I'm sure
Probably,
that
yeah.
the view count is insane.
Mhm.
It's wild. That's such a strange thing about
It
the
is.
world we live in.
But what's going to be funny is like now when he's out,
Mhm.
like out and about in it, there's going to be people that are going to be like, shit, that van
Dude,
looks
yeah.
really familiar. And I can't put my finger
So-
on why.
So like, where have I seen that thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
So like 2 weeks after that happened, we on a whim put the van in a car show at Fountain Hills. They have a big fundraiser car show, and this car show is incredible. Like there's Koenigsegg's and Lamborghinis and $3 million cars. Like this car show is insane. We just like, hey, can we show our four-wheel drive van? And they have an off-road section. So we entered it. We went out there for the day. We had a crowd of people in front of this van all day. I didn't get to go look at any cars. And my point is, 3 different times I'm talking to people about the van, and they're like, oh shit, that's the one. I've seen that. You're the guy that rolled it off the side. No. One of my buddies was there with us and watched that happen. He's like, dude, that's one of the coolest things that I've ever seen. Like that kid lost his mind when he realized you're the idiot that rolled his van off the mountain.
So I just did a quick look.
So it's, getting recognized.
ADN Overland. That reel has 4.4 million views right now.
On theirs.
Gosh,
on theirs.
now,
That is insane. I mean, That's a healthy population.
Yeah.
How does that work?
That's crazy. And to answer your question, or to your comment, I have no idea if you should be mad about that or not either is the problem.
I'm like, I'm not smart enough. I think it's cool, but maybe I should be outraged.
I mean,
I'm Taylor Swift and I demand money for my image.
Yeah, they might have made $40 off you or something. I don't know.
Yeah, hard to say.
But man,
I feel better.
yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah. Get a discount at their store next time you're in there.
Yeah, for sure. Give me a T-shirt or something.
Yeah,
Send me anything.
that's wild. I've actually never even seen this Instagram before either, so that's something.
Which, yeah.
Well,
so
maybe I have
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the van.
with the van. Yeah, that's probably how you saw it, right?
Yeah. Crazy. Wow.
Yeah, it's been something to see. Like we never thought it would happen. I'm just like, we have the little channel just so our friends can keep up with what we're doing with the van.
Yeah.
And then that thing went berserk. My brother was like, dude, you have like 50,000 views on your video.
Oh man, just watch out! Don't get too much ego from all your fame here.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
we're
Remember where I came from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, get yourself into some more situations where it does end up rolling or something like that, I mean, it'll be great for the clicks.
The pressure was too much. I got to get those views. If I don't flip it all the way over, nobody's going to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you get to 1 million if it rolled.
Mm.
I think that would have been it.
I'm going to need him to send me some money at that point.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Well, I don't know if you're
the
100
investment there is a little high.
the $100 or whatever
Right.
you're going to get. I'm moving the goalpost because I said 40 on 4.4 million, but I think the original content might be worth more. I don't know. I have no idea how that works. I know that it's
Yeah,
pretty
I
low.
don't either.
Yeah,
I
it's-
think YouTube is the one where you can get monetized, right? My
Yeah.
brother's
Yeah.
like, you need to put that on YouTube. He put up a video he recorded at King of the Hammers a bunch of years ago, and he ended up actually getting, it was not a significant amount of money, but
some.
10 years ago, it was the equivalent of going viral. And he's like, dude, they sent me like $3. I'm like, no way, man.
I made it. Woo!
Right, I can retire.
I'm a content creator now.
yeah.
Official influencer.
Yeah, claim that on my taxes.
That's funny. Nice.
Yeah, so we'll keep doing it, and like we've put up a few videos since, and of course nothing went wrong on those trips.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, the drama.
but it was kind of funny to see, like from that lake trip I was talking about, we recovered 2 different people that got themselves stuck in the mud.
Mm.
So we posted those videos, and on their own they wouldn't have gotten any views, but because everybody's looking at our page now, like
Right.
there's 1,000 views on just pulling the Ford out of the mud. So it's like, okay, people are watching.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's kind of fun. I think there's like,
Yeah.
I think that content creation, like I consume it, right? I think we all do, and so like some of it's pretty cool, and I appreciate that some people have made their living and are doing that. It starts to like, there's like a mid-level where it starts to kind of smell of I'm trying to make money, which
Right.
is tricky.
Right.
But I love like people that like had no idea it was going to be like
100%.
that. I think that's always so cool where it's just like, you're just like, just put this out there
Yeah,
and just see,
doing
like,
stuff.
and because it's just such a like, that's just like me or just like Colin or anybody.
you're
Like
right.
it's kind of cool. I think that's neat. And then obviously the far end
Yeah,
of it, I think
definitely.
is cool too, because it's like, programs that exist because they're really cool, right? It's like, it's basically like modern television at that point. So that's neat. But,
Mhm.
but yeah, the guerrilla, social media, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Works out.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
I think it's been fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to. I'll always sit and talk about the van and going out and doing dumb stuff. I hope people keep doing it.
Yeah. Well, the next time you do something stupid, just send it to us first, and
Yeah,
we'll
and
repost
then-
it for 4
yeah,
million
and we'll
views.
repost-
Wait, and you're going to get the $40 and I get
Yeah.
nothing.
I'll split it with you. I'll
Yeah,
send you.
we'll
something.
send you some stickers or something,
Right on.